I had to go over there and like we
Another one?
How's it going? Oh man, this is one of those days, you know? One of those days. I couldn't take it. Too many things, you know? It's just not enough hours. Adding more stress. And then what else? Excuse me, I gotta check my voicemail. Days like this, you know? Seems like it's too much and you can't do it. You can do it. That's what makes you strong. That's why they said if you can't make it here, you can't make it anywhere. I'm making it, I think. It's not too bad.
I sometimes feel great that I do have that ability to keep it up for certain amounts of time. Although I am near the end of my tether, I'm just physically exhausted because a girl needs her sleep. But also being a designer and a busy designer, you're getting called upon a lot with the companies that are all trying to say the same thing. So my challenge is making their same thing look different day in, day out. There's got to be a point where the same thing just won't work. I think it's almost peaked out. There's pretty much, they're at a point of just stealing each other's business, I guess. I mean, they're going to run out of people.
I've got probably, if not the most remote background on the planet, because I was a missionary kid in Africa, which is a very unique experience even there. And then to be part of the most remote part of Africa is, again, even more unique. Then coming and traveling and all that, it left me in kind of like I'm an outsider everywhere. And so you come here to a world in and of itself. New York is unique on the planet probably, and if not New York, this city, the nature of cities themselves are their own genre of life, and it's like a jungle if you want to use those terms where there's a lot. There's just too much of everything here constantly, and so little of it interests me in a lot of ways. I go out to some of the clubs at night and I ache inside because I see emptiness happening, I see uselessness happening, I see 10 million people wasting a lot of time if you look at the global perspective.
One of the things when I first started working in the city was that somebody told me, the idea in New York is just keep moving. Just keep moving. Just keep moving. So that's what you do, you just keep moving. Even if you're walking around, you get to the corner, the light's red, where you cross the street and you go to the other side. You know?
In fact, I told him that.
Just keep moving. Okay.
All right. And then I need to talk to you about getting this book out tonight.
I came from the Gold Coast in Queensland, Australia, where I had a wonderful upbringing based around the beach and a very safe and open suburban environment. I love going back, and I believe it'll always be there for me when I need it. It's not going anywhere, hopefully. It's probably an interesting counterpoint of finding your ultimate inner strength of how much you can sustain, but really it's an absolute weakness. It's seeing whether it will weigh you down or not, and how much you can take, and how much you can take from it. Yet it's weak and selfish that you need to prove that to yourself at the same time. There's no way but backwards in the city unless you've got a good cash flow and a little bit of security, although most people I know successful or not, flying by the seat of their pants, just trying to make it, you know, from whatever level.
I can't even find a place to juggle my torches that's grass, you know, except in Central Park, and even that, it's rare, you know what I mean? I mean, there's not that much grass around, not much land, not much soil to touch, you know? We all wear rubber on our feet, and so we're never in contact with the planet, and not electrically, you know? We've separated ourselves from everything by our choice of lifestyle. We're destroying the planet left and right to keep this going on, you know? So it's an enigma to me that human beings can be so conscious of what's happening the world over, especially New York. They have people from every part of the world here, and yet they're all jumping into the same bandwagon of, from my perspective, for the most part, useless endeavors.
Sometimes I can go outside for a walk after work with summer and everything, the light, and it has to be light because it's pretty dangerous. I haven't had time to actually go outdoors for a couple of weeks, which sounds really unbelievable, but it's true. I live and work in the same building and there's no need to go outside. I have food and water and my computer. I got to the park and there was a 7-foot fence. It was actually being dug up. It's the only park for miles and it was a good park. Knowing local council's performance, it will be like that for some time, probably right through summer. So I think I'll just rent some videos and chill.
I got here 92, so that's gonna be 7 years. 7 years in the city. You know? And I had this great plan that at the year 2000, or at the new millennium, I was gonna split. You know, go to Spain or do the next thing. Sure. I think I'm a little behind, maybe 2 years behind, I think. But you can't live forever in New York. It'll kill you. You know, so that's why you gotta take all that energy, all the experience, and then go somewhere and, you know, live your dreams out.
I wrote a script. It wasn't a script, it was just words that look like they may form a poem. I love the idea of filming textures and movement, but more so in this I was inspired to shoot human reaction and tried to visually display what I can hear every day. I wrote it in a flash, like in 10 minutes of aggravation. There was a high-pitched noise from somewhere. I had woken up with that noise, and late at night in the distance I could hear jackhammers, trains, traffic. I seemed to be super sensitive. My hearing was like a bug. I had to let it out, and I wanted to write something which is unlike me. I normally wouldn't sit and write. I would paint or do something else, trying to explain what it's like to never escape noise, never experience silence. Visual silence too, not just what you can hear, but just to totally block out.
What's next?
We need to get this product line designed.
Maybe I couldn't get him off the computer. And I don't know everything that was on, you know, everything that I couldn't get on. I know there was stuff that I couldn't copy, you know? Because this was just bad. The files were corrupted and I couldn't copy them.
The files on the computer, or the files you put them on?
Try to get them off. it's like everything happened, you know? I'm having pressure from my cousin coming in town. You know, like at the worst time, I have too many appointments that I made for the week. I have prior commitments with my other work, aside from my regular work. And in the midst of all that, I have to find time to eat, to rest, and to have a little fun so that I don't shut down completely, you know? I've gone sick for just not getting enough sleep and not eating well, you know? I have an ulcer, so I have to eat at my regular times, otherwise it flares up, and then, you know, it's like the worst pain I've ever had. So I have to be aware of that.
My small dream is to be stable enough and be able to afford to live somewhere permanently enough to have a dog. On a larger scale of dreams, I'd love to own a home in the country on 100 acres or more, running water, some trees, some grass, some dirt, and a big open plan house that was just how I like things, with good stuff but not too much stuff, and space, and something a little bit indestructible, so you didn't have to care. Like here, I have to be precious with everything because either it was really hard to come by, or don't know if I could take it if I lost it. But it's a bit sad that I have come to clutch material objects seriously for the first time since I've moved to the city. It's like the only territory I have is my property, not the space that contains it, which is a bit weird.
I work probably 3-4 nights out of the week. I work really late, probably around midnight or so, maybe more. It's not enough time during the day. That's very calming. I come out here alone in the night after a long day, right on top of the city, like the building. Just kind of rise above and relax, take it in, take the sounds, the lights. A little moment for Milton, right here.
We thought we'd go and visit our bank manager just to see that there really was one, and it wasn't a hard drive somewhere, and he was kind of real. It was a bit too real. We told him how much money we made and what our goals are and how far our business has come, and it's a projection, and we've made something out of nothing. And he said, yes, that's all very good, but really it doesn't really fit on this form, and therefore you don't really fit in the box, so we can't even consider your application. He said, however, if I do prove I can put $20 in my savings account for the next 12 years, I'll probably get a mortgage, and there's no way I'm doing that just because he said so. So I'll find another way to get a dog. Yeah.
For 40 years I've traveled these continents. I've seen lands and cultures magnificent. The unspeakable beauties of the natural earth. The tears of death and the joys of birth. The love of a mom and the pride of a dad shouts out the world isn't all bad. But our societies are worlds of greed, where people demand much more than they need. Where success leads to being a slave to a system that tells us how to behave. In this world, money is God, and it lives on poverty, both here and abroad. The poor work this year to pay for the last, and their future has become the slave of the past. Sure, technologies give the life of ease, but the cost is the future of our land, skies, and seas. Man devours Mother Earth as though she were a snack, like a horde of vultures on a doomed creature's back, changing her forests and her meadows and her sands into factories, highways, and concrete wastelands.
I think that we are being desensitized by way of the consumer culture, you know? So everything is, you know, Tommy this, Calvin Klein this, Nike that, or Adidas that, and so, you know, why do we have to stick a logo everywhere on anything? So, you know, we're like products, basically, right now. We are what we wear, I guess, in a way.
Well, there's the classic things about society where they are trying to confine people, and I thought it was just because people are afraid of, you know, other people that refuse to work in routine. But I'm starting to wonder whether it's just easier that they've been able to narrow everyone down to just one box. They've simplified it to the point where they don't have to think, almost to the point of the computer will make the decision. Luckily, I'm young enough to not be too concerned, but if I was considering a family in the near future, or really didn't want to keep working like I am and probably killing myself, I don't know what I'd do. Maybe deep down this is just a way of keeping busy without having anything, really.
Yeah, I think people don't have, they don't want to bother. I mean, if you look at most people when they're walking around, they're kind of like, the attitude is like, get out of my way. I can't wait to get to where I'm going, even if you don't have nowhere to go. Like, you know, it's like everybody hurry, hurry, hurry.
I mean, it used to be, well, it still is an issue that people were becoming desensitized to all sorts of things, but now I think we're evolving and learning to become desensitized to each other, which is like on a one-to-one basis. It's part of the nice little habitat we've got going here.
Like, for instance, today I called my mom, and you know, it's like that made all the difference. That gave me enough energy to finish the day. You know, I just hear her voice, and she's reminding me to, like, make sure you get what I told you to get, and are you eating well, and just asking me in general what I'm doing, and you know, her interest in my mundane, everyday life kind of just makes it special. So
You are my source of
that makes a difference.
You're my inspiration's song. So show me the wealth of my true self and lead me through the valley of wrong. When the earth sings its death song and life weeps its final tears, a people will rise who do not belong to the land of greed and fear. So rise on, children of the rainbow, from the ashes to the light. Let us stand together now as warriors in the night. And though the battle around us rages, let's hear the rally of all the drums, all the rhythms of the ages are calling all the children come. We're calling, come to yourself, O sacred hero. Come to the tribe of sacred lore. Come to the glory of sacred fear. Oh, come to love the sacred war. So come to the drums.
What am I gonna do to leave like an imprint, you know, when I'm gone, when I'm dead, you know, like something good for society, like helping kids or something that doesn't pay me back, I guess.
Looking at the larger, population, there's always fighters, and I praise them, but I think people like me that are just running the rat race, I don't think we've got a fight left for a cause. We're just trying to keep ourselves going, which is a little bit sad, a little bit sorry. Yeah.
From a global perspective, we're a nation like a train on the way to a cliff, and yet everybody keeps doing it, and yet inside the heart of all the individuals, I find humanity screaming to find something more precious.
They've simplified it to the point where they don't have to think, almost to the point of the computer will make the decision.
It's just too much of everything here constantly, and I ache inside because I see emptiness happening. I see 10 million people wasting a lot of time.
Why do we have to stick a logo everywhere on anything? So we're like products basically right now. We are what we wear, I guess.
Evolving and learning to become desensitized to each other.
It's an enigma to me that human beings can be so conscious of what's happening, and yet they're all jumping into the same bandwagon of, from my perspective, for the most part, useless.
Most people I know, successful or not, are flying by the seat of their pants, just trying to make it, from whatever level. Maybe deep down, this is just a way of keeping busy without having anything, really.
Our society has accepted an ethic these days, which is called survival of the fittest. Really, that is just competition under another name. Even economic rationalism, market forces, all of this is about competition. It's about being smarter than the next person, it's about being faster than the next person, and all of this to survive. So when we've accepted this kind of ethic, why does it surprise us that the whole pace of life has gone totally out of control? There has got to be a better way to live our life, and perhaps we should be questioning the ethic which has been handed to us of competition and survival of the fittest, which tells us that we ourselves should be the centre of the universe, should outdo everybody else. Perhaps the thing that we need to be looking for is an ethic which is centred in other people, which is based on compassion and care and looking out, relationships, those kind of things that are important.
In a big city, it's obvious that the pollution, the noise and everything is going to, get you down physically and mentally, morally. Mm-hmm. And the only possibility to be cured is going to a doctor and taking all kind of pills and all these things which actually makes you feel worse.
The problem though, I think, Patrick, is that a lot of us actually don't want the option that's going to require effort. As you're saying, we want everything fast and quick. So we want to go to the doctor's going to say, take this pill, take that, rub
also,
that.
I know in France, the doctor's policy is horrible. You just go there, it's like going to supermarket. Yeah. What do you need?
Yeah.
I need this.
Here's
it.
your prescription. But he
You
knows
go
very
in.
well, or she knows very well, that if enough patients come to them and they don't get a prescription, they won't be seeing them again, because for people, going to the doctor, you're supposed to get a magic pill
Yes.
to make you better. A
Exactly.
doctor is going to say, my dear, you need to change your lifestyle, change your job, and probably live a bit more slowly. Is not going to have many patients.
Exactly.
And in a sense, we've got so used to having
So once again,
instant
this
solutions.
urbanization is linked with the globalization. There's one way of living.
Yeah.
There's one way of seeing things, which is everybody wants to be number one, wants to be the best, is ready to sacrifice his health, his principles, his everything. He would
Family life.
his integrity, basically. And just for being number one. But that's what society, especially if you go to the States, first. It's true, you have many chances, many opportunities to succeed, even if you have just $10 in your pocket. But on the other hand,
There's a price.
Exactly. If you're not number one,
You're zero.
exactly. And I think, well, that's maybe a better thing that we have here, maybe let's say in France or some European countries, that is, even if you're number two, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
You can make a living, not necessarily running to live in a city, not rushing
Sure.
towards the cities to be able to make a living.
There's a bit more of a cushion.
I think so.
Yeah. At the same time, I think one of the things that irritates me as somebody who comes from a so-called third world country is the patronizing attitude that a lot of people have who come from rich countries regarding lifestyle, or just people from poorer countries. For instance, just the vocabulary that's used, progress, what do they talk about? Developing countries, as if they're embryos or something moving towards perfection. I don't see myself as an embryo. One of the things that I try to communicate to my daughter, who's kind of straddled both worlds like me, is that I think we confuse technological progress with progress full stop. And we assume that a country that has more machines and more computers and more wealth and more high buildings or whatever is necessarily more progressive because it's more industrialized.
Our society is hanging by very thin threads. You can see in any news item just how precarious social order is, just how precarious it is. It doesn't take much to break down, for people to break down under the pressure. Marasmus is occurring around us and all the signs are there. Youth unemployment is not unrelated to youth suicide, and youth suicide statistics are going up and have been recognised to be the problem as we turn the cusp, get over the hump into the 21st century that's right on our horizon. Just as we say goodbye to the 20th century. The 20th century, the problem for the 20th century was provided by the German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche, who had a life from 1844 to 1900. He died right on the turn from the 19th into the 20th century. And he set the problem, he posed the problem for the 20th century. He said the problem for the human condition is that God is dead. God is dead. That it was the overwhelming philosophical dilemma that is the most apt description of the 20th century that we've just passed. Living in a world, how can we live in a world when God is dead? The challenge for the 21st century is to make God alive again. That's the challenge. How do we make God alive again? By rediscovering our fellow human beings and bringing them back to life. And if it's to begin anywhere, it's got to begin with the children, with the young people. And we've got to listen to them. We've got to listen to them. If you're a Christian, then the Holy Spirit speaks through young people. You've got to listen to them, Jesus said. Become a little child to hear that. And if we, as we begin the 21st century, fail to listen to young people, then we are destroying the seeds of our future civilization. When it is that dramatic that we have to learn to listen, to nurture, to bring back to life our young people. This is a very difficult thing because we think that they are just there to become further fodder in this massive military industrial complex, this globalization program and so forth.
Church started as a countercultural group of people that were truly offering a different way of living, a different way of looking at money, different way of looking at sexuality, different way of looking at business, at art. And it was, I think, fuller way. But, and it was called to be an alternative city on a hill. So, you know, and it was like you have alternative New York today. We want to offer as a community. And that's how it started. In early reports of early church says that church turned the world upside down. Well, over 2,000 years, it came to a point where the definition of a Christian came dangerously close to the definition of well-adjusted middle-class citizen. And that's where church lost. Church became pet in a household of modernity. When modernity started, it was like a problem. It was a big trouble for church because, you know, reason and control and all of that, and church was very disturbed about it. But over the years, it adjusted so much that it took society's way of explaining faith, vocabulary, categories, assumptions, criteria for truth, all of that came there. And you have Christianity today that is very much, how would I say, embraced reason and apologetic as defense of faith. I'm going to explain to you why we are right. And if you understand it, you will change. But that definitely doesn't work with people today anymore. People today are relying on experiences as well, on choices, on feelings, on intuition. And when they come to the church, they see that there's incongruity there. There's incongruity between what is said and between how it looks and how it feels. And churches have spent a lot of energy to change to culturally engineer themselves, to be nice and be good and have a good front store, kind of good appearance. But people see that from miles away. They see right in the center real quickly because people have attuned to those different things, and church needs to. I'm hoping, to succeed in that, to bring these things together so they're congruent, and only then it will communicate what it has. In modernity, human life, especially in the city, was defined as a maze. That's like a rat's maze. You're going and you're learning your ways, and somehow you have a feeling that by the end of life, you will figure out how to go through the maze and accomplish your goal. And everybody was encouraged in their lives to find a way to go through life and accomplish these things, and find the right ways to turn and do things. And so you work in a company for 20, 30 years, and or all of your life, which is inconceivable today completely. you know, that you would work even more than 5 years, that you will find the ways to go about these things and find what is important for you and how you can function the best and be the best human being you can be. But things have changed. Today, maze looks different. Maze looks this way. Walls are moving all the time. They're shifting, they're going up and down, they're turning around. The maze is every morning you get, the maze is different. You don't, you know, what has been good turn yesterday, it might be bad turn today. What has been a smart thing to do yesterday, today, it might be foolish thing to do. And you are constantly faced with a new set of rules of life, a new set of what counts and what doesn't, and what is important, and how you need to turn. This new question. Every question is first question. And to survive in that kind of environment, the strength needs to come from within, not from the sense that you can do the maze the way to master the maze. It's not a skill of mastering mazes, because it will always be more powerful than you. It will always overcome you. The strength needs to come with knowledge, with reality that is bigger than the maze. I look at the maze from above, from a bird's view, from the reality of the kingdom of God. That is bigger reality than just the visible world and society we see. It's permeated by spirituality. Scientists are finding that the universe is maintained by awareness. That the mind and the matter are coming so close and converging that there is more things that we don't see in the universe than things that we do see. And so that's reality in our lives as well. And living in that kind of reality that is larger helps you understand a maze with poise, face it with poise, and changes you face with poise, having stability like that. Stability of having roots and belonging and all of these things that you lose if you attend to the nitty-gritties and nuts and bolts all the time.
I personally find the whole ethic of other-centeredness, the Christian ethic, something which is appealing. But unfortunately at the moment, the Christian church is a real parody of itself. It's caught up in the most incredible materialism. It's taken over the whole secular value system. And I believe that if the church was to be able to get back to that other-centeredness, that it would be able to help people in a way that it just cannot at the moment. At the moment, people are so busy making plans for their lives that they don't even have time to live it. And our society is just so much into the pace of life, we've lost the whole plot. And really what we need to refine, I think, is that ethic of rest, something which is very unpopular at the moment. We can't even comprehend it. But Christianity as a religion is about rest. It celebrates rest, it even has a day of rest. And it's really up to us as a society to refine all of that.
Now, as a Seventh-day Adventist Christian, as a Christian who believes that God is a creator of time as well, I can appreciate the very fact that that he's worked. He worked. He created. He's done things. He liked them, and then he rested. And that is something that that for me is powerful. Powerful in the sense that that after the days of toil and deeds and activities and things and money and all of that, there is that moment where when you are liberated from it all. Sabbath is that time for me. But I hope I will not be irreverent if I say that I carve out bits of Sabbaths whenever I can, every day. Meaning a time when I can escape into things that are connected to life. The church, if it is not connected to everyday life, it's just like another institution with a philosophy, with a set of rules and regulations. with a strategy for the future. You know, so, you know, one has to be conscious about some of that.